Hey guys, it's Josh. So, this little preface or whatever is basically just to lay out all the stuff you guys have probably been asking for 2 months. Namely, where is How-to Otaku? So, this episode, the one that we'll play in just a couple minutes, was recorded in March and was supposed to come out in April, but between the stresses of the semester, the pandemic, seasonal depression, and all the other stressors in normal life, neither me nor Brogan could really work up the time or the energy to have this episode edited and released. So it just kind of sat there, and we kept putting it off up until now. That's basically the long and short of it. While I know some of this wasn't in either of our control, I do want to apologize anyway for not at least making the situation known. Um, you guys are loyal listeners, and I feel that it should be a priority for us to have more transparency. So I do just want to apologize up front for the delay in this episode. Anyway, now on to the more important stuff. What's the future of the show? Well, this summer we're coming back big and bold. We'll be back to our normal schedule just as we set out. Every 2 weeks, a new episode will drop. And then on our brand new Patreon, which in hopefully the next week you'll be able to see at patreon.com/howtootaku. There will be new content for our $3 tier, including monthly movie episodes, bi-weekly live streams, and a new Discord. So check all that out when the Patreon launches. We're currently in the approval process, and I don't know how long that'll take. But again, that's patreon.com/howtootaku. That's where you can find that. And finally, while we haven't made any specifics, we are planning on hosting a charity stream sometime in the next 2 months. We have a very good cause in mind, but we haven't ironed out all the details as of yet. But stay tuned for that. Details will likely come next episode. And of course, unlike our regular live streams, any charity streams we do will be completely free and not a part of our Patreon. Anyway, that's it for now. Please enjoy this very overdue episode, and make sure to return on Friday, May 28th, for our Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood finale. Peace and love, Josh. Well, what did you think? How was my performance?
You should win an award.
All right, then back to it. Don't stop podcasting. I don't want to miss the story of the century. Hang on, let me redo that one. All right, then, back to it. Don't stop podcasting. I don't want to miss the story of the century.
What's the story, Josh?
The story is that I'm a terrible voice actor.
Oh, not the story of the, Sorry, I'm munching on a cookie. You guys didn't pay for a mukbang, but you're fucking getting one. Not the story of, how a mistress fell in a single day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that kind of sucks. I mean, it's par for the course, but, you know.
It was a long time coming, and here it is.
Yeah. So did it really fall in a single day? Or not really?
The stories will tell that it did.
I suppose so.
I mean, like,
all right.
Did Xerxes? Did Rome? Really? Anyways, I'm Brogan.
Deep. And I'm Josh.
And this is How to Otaku, the show where we make grand gestures towards more intricate concepts and then just leave them on the table.
And this is a series on Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the show where clapping happens before the cool thing, not the other way around.
You know, like, oh, fire alchemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a snap, isn't it?
Same concept.
He just does like a.
It's a jazz clap.
All right, so a little bit of housekeeping. Should I talk about the Patreon?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Okay. So we've got a Patreon. There's nothing on it right now, but by the time this launches, we'll have started our Patreon. There are 3 tiers. The first tier is $1. That'll get you ad-free access to all the episodes that you have access to right now. So if you don't want to like spend a whole lot of time hitting the skip button or whatever, yeah, you can give us like $1 a month on Patreon, which is like, I mean, like it's almost a worthless amount of money, but it helps us, and you won't have to hit the skip button. And then there's the $3 tier, which is the bonus content tiers. So you get our monthly exclusive movie episodes, and we'll get to those, but you get those, you get access to our live streams, you get access to our Discord chat. Pretty much anything else in the future we decide to launch will be available on this tier.
Exactly. And let's be honest, this is money that you could easily justify if you just cut back a little bit on your, like, you don't need that gotcha pull. I'm watching you. You don't need to get that new pull in Grand Blue Fantasy. You don't need to get that new skin in League of Legends. You just toss $1 or $2 over this way.
And then there's the $7 tier. It's the special consideration money. You don't have to give it to us, and what you get in return is our special thanks at the end of every episode. Not just these episodes, but the bonus episodes as well. So you'll get thanked at the end of every one of those, just for, being a swell person and giving us, a little extra. So those are the tiers. If you want to check that out, I don't remember what the link is, but it's something along the lines of patreon.com/How-to-Otaku. So
it'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes. I'll probably put a bumper in with the proper link, but it's something along those lines. Haven't figured that out yet. But anyway, on to the next thing, the related thing, which is our first movie episode. We've got a few things in consideration, and we wanted to make sure that you guys had the chance to pick out what you wanted. So, do you want to go through those?
Right. We've got 4 movies. If we're ever doing a Twitter poll or like asking for recommendations, we'll usually give 4 options. And so the 4 options: Interstellar 5555. The Daft Punk movie. That's free to stream on Netflix. Lupin.
It's not on Netflix, actually.
No, sorry, YouTube.
Yeah, because they haven't actually done an official release in America for like a long time. You could get a hold of a Blu-ray copy or a DVD copy, but it'll cost you somewhere between $50 to $200.
Right.
So,
but you can find it. It is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Then there's Lupin the Third, Castle of Cagliostro. Then there's a Whisker Away. And the last one is Night is Short, Walk On Girl.
Yeah, I've seen 2 of these. So
I have seen one of these. I'm not a big movie watcher when it comes to anime. I've seen like the big important ones, and I've seen a few of the Ghibli catalog. Ghibli catalog. But
I believe it's either. I think they had a pronunciation in mind, but at one point, Miyazaki, publicly mispronounced it, and so, he considers it either now.
Because he didn't make... No, Miyazaki never could have made a mistake. What a fucking baby man. I love you, Hayao Miyazaki. Please notice me, senpai. I know I called you a baby man, but it was all in good fun. If you ever recognize me in any sort of real or tangential capacity, I could die happy.
Do you think Hayao Miyazaki listens to podcasts? Do you think that that's his thing, or
he might? I doubt he listens to English podcasts about anime by college students who have no experience in the field, or
we really don't have good taste. We don't have an experienced palate, if you will.
I was gonna argue that point with you, but then I remembered I am a JoJo's fan, so you got me 100% on that one.
All right, so we're gonna have all those options available for you to vote on in the Twitter poll. So if you're really pining for that Daft Punk energy, or you really want to hear us argue about this cat movie that seems really weird but okay, then vote for us on Twitter, and after that week, we'll figure out what's coming next.
Yes.
And we'll probably announce that in the next episode. So,
speaking of which, We don't have much housekeeping left. This is going swiftly along. Our next episode is the last episode of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. We've got these 10 episodes that we're talking about today, and then the next episode is going to be the last 5. And then after that, it's on to Fooly Cooley.
4. Last 4.
Nope.
No, it's last 4. Because we just did episode 60, right? And then there's 61 through 64. Yeah.
Oh, based.
Numbers. They do be hard.
Listen, I'm a communications major. I do crosswords for homework. I hadn't seen a number in 3 weeks. I did hold up 4 fingers when I said that.
Well, you should try Sudoku, you know. That'll at least familiarize you with, like, 9.
1 through 9?
Yeah, 1 through 9, you know. You'll know those pretty well. You won't really know what they mean, except that, you know, certain ones go in certain boxes and some others don't. But
I remember I used to have, this is tangential, and it's the last piece of, like, nice pleasantry before we get into a really, really sad bunch of episodes. I remember when I was a kid, I had a little book that was like, it was all Sudoku puzzles, but it was SpongeBob stickers. And so, like, you were doing Sudoku puzzles, but instead of using 1 through 9, it was like picture of Gary, picture of SpongeBob, picture of Patrick, picture of Squidward. I mean, it's the same rules because, like, honestly, numbers and symbols are like the same thing. So you just swap 1 through 9 out for fucking SpongeBob characters, and it's the same thing. But I finished that whole fucking book when I was a kid, and I've never touched Sudoku since.
Wow, that's like a really strange, like, interesting thing.
I gotta see if anybody else knows what this is.
Hang on, let me look this up. Like, okay, so
SpongeBob Sudoku sticker book.
I put in SpongeBob Sudoku, and it recommends me SpongeBob commits Sudoku.
Oh my god.
Which is very different. Yeah, I see these. I think I've seen these before.
This is a real thing that I didn't just like...
No, it's real. Like, they've got stickers and shit, and, you know. They made at least 3 of these.
That makes me feel better, because I thought I just, like, apparated that.
Like, I don't know if it's, like, the fact that I spent my fair amount of time in my childhood, like, wandering around the Dollar General and, like, seeing all sorts of SpongeBob merchandise, but, like, these look really familiar. Like, I don't know if I had one of these or not, but, you know.
I certainly did. Listen, man.
SpongeBob commits seppuku.
SpongeBob commits seppuku. Speaking of seppuku, we do have an instance of seppuku in this series of episodes. So let's get right into it. Where do you want to start, Josh?
I mean, I just want to start off by... never mind.
Nah, go for it.
No, it was not really, like, an interesting thing, you know.
Well, then come up with an interesting thing.
God damn it.
Yeah. Listen, I'm fucking holding you accountable, buddy. The amount of times I hear you say like and come on.
Yeah, like, the listeners might not know this, but, like, I'm 90% sure that, like, the reason why it takes us particularly long to edit these episodes is because of the fact that, you know, I say things like
70% of the editing time is either Josh or I removing each other saying like and
yeah. But this time we're not going to do that, you know, for your delight, so that, you know, you can see what we're talking about.
This is raw and uncut. This is unedited. This episode is coming out with no edits being made.
That's right.
So
we're not even gonna put our voices together. We're just going to release them as 2 separate audio files, so that you have to listen to both of them and
piece it together
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is art, bitch.
This is a performance art. And just so you know, if this episode does come out and it sounds listenable, then it isn't because we edited it. It's because we're just magic and podcast gods, and that we just did it perfectly on the first take, and you have nothing to worry about.
So I guess we can talk about, like, the fact that, like, this whole season takes place in the span of, like, the amount of time that takes place during this season like isn't clear, but it's somewhere between like 2 and 6 hours, which is
Yeah.
wild.
Well, like even most of the last season was still in this day, right?
Like there were like 3 or 4,
Like three or like
episodes
half
taking
of the
place on this
last
day.
chunk of episodes that we watched took place also on this day.
Yeah, so it's like fucking crazy that like all of this takes place in like the span of a few hours.
You
It's
remember
really
when
rare to see like that kind of thing.
you remember when Edward was in Winry's room like a billion episodes ago?
Yeah. Yes.
That was the same. That was like the morning of this day or like the night before.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, this has been a very eventful day.
Yeah, like I think I predicted that, or like at least I was like, it would be interesting if like the whole last season took place in one entire day.
Right.
I'm going to say I predicted it, even though like I didn't necessarily say that it was going to happen, but I came up with the idea and it happened, so I'm going to say I predicted it. It's close enough.
Let it be known that Josh is the reason that Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is so good.
That's right.
He wrote the show.
I am the god. I am invincible. You cannot kill me. You can't kill these zombies either.
Oh, right. That is the first thing that's going on.
Yeah, these near invincible zombies show up, and like I don't honestly understand like exactly what happened, but like a lot of things, they kind of like they tell you the important thing and gloss over like the rest, which like I actually kind of like that. Like I like that they give you the important information and then like just say like fuck it, whatever, like doesn't matter. I find
Right.
that like in a lot of media, especially like nerd correlated media, there's a lot of over explaining where like
Right. And the more you explain something, the easier it is for people to like pick holes in it.
yeah, and like the less fun it becomes, like I like the Force just to like pick something out of the blue. Like I like the Force just being like space wizard magic that like doesn't need to have like all these weird complex rules. So like
But then the prequels happened and they gave it weird complex rules anyways.
yeah, and then everybody complained about that. But then when The Last Jedi came out and, Luke Skywalker did a thing that wasn't previously established as a force power, they were like,
Everybody
what the
got
fuck
fucking
happened?
mad.
Yeah, so like,
Right.
they have like this crazy double standard, and like it pisses me off both ways, So
Can we all just agree that Star Wars fans are the worst?
Star Wars fans are the worst. Like, I don't like to call
If
myself a Star Wars
if
fan
you've watched
anymore.
more than 2 Star Wars movies, you're a fucking moron. Hard stance.
I'm sorry, but
I'm just letting that one float.
I've seen 9 of them, and then like a couple episodes of the
Sorry,
television
bud.
shows, and then like a couple of the video games, and that's it. So like, I don't know. Maybe it's because like I never like.
If you unironically can explain to me what a midichlorian is, you need to find another fucking hobby.
All I know about midichlorians are that they're the things in the Jedi's blood that give them the Force. So like I'm sure
The
that like
midichlorian is the powerhouse of the cell. The midichlorian is the powerhouse of the Force. I thought we're not doing a Star Wars tangent, but I just wanted to say I thought midichlorians were like a race of people.
no, those are Mandalorians.
Goddamn, fuck Star Wars. Anyways,
So yeah, like they're like these near invincible zombies, and like they literally spend like at least like 4 episodes trying to figure out how to kill these things.
right, literally, they're just in a room that looks like the room at the end of time, which I think is what I decided that I was gonna call like the truth portal room
Yeah.
a billion episodes ago. And they're just in there, and it's Scar and Edward and 2 of the
Chimera.
or is it all 4 of the chimeras?
I know there's at least 2. I don't remember. They kind of
And
blur
then
together.
May shows up. Everyone's fucking fighting. It's a Smash Brothers game in here. Everyone's here. Fucking Alphonse is here. Pride. Uh, Envy. Yeah, May fights Envy in a tunnel for a while.
Yeah, it's fucking badass. Like,
These zombies show up and like, yeah, I think that's the actual like, other than the zombies existing to be like a new military force.
yeah.
That shows up and is dealt with within like 4 or 5 episodes, and they're never mentioned before and they're never mentioned again. They just show up and then all of them get dealt with. They're like, these guys are invincible, and then they kill them all.
Yeah. Like, actually, like, I think the only way they kill them is by, like, burning them. Because, like, like, they can, like, incapacitate them to a certain extent by, like, removing their jaws or, like, knocking out their legs or whatever. But, like, they can't, like, stop them from living. Unless they, like, completely decimate all of their body.
Right, until Mustang shows up and just eviscerates everyone.
Yeah. That's really fun. And speaking of Mustang and eviscerating things, like, he's got, like, he's got, like, the most compelling and established arc this whole entire season. Like,
holy shit.
What they do with him in this season, like, I think I almost teared up at one point. Like, and that's hard for me to do, because, like,
so
I can count on one
everyone
hand
is fighting
that.
Everyone is fighting a homunculus. You've got Alphonse out in the sphere fighting Pride and
Kimberly.
Who else is there?
There's Kimberly.
Kimberly, right. Kimberly shows up and breaks Pride out of the sphere because Pride was doing Morse code with Alphonse's helmet.
Makes no sense, but continue.
Right. I didn't say it made sense. I just said it happened. Alphonse then has to fight alongside one of the Chimeras to fuck up Pride and Kimberly. They do so with the use of a Philosopher's Stone. Alphonse is like, well, you guys are already in the Philosopher's Stone anyways, so I mean, like, as long as I'm using the Philosopher's Stone for good, then I guess that it doesn't matter. Which, like, yeah, but again, they keep using Alphonse for these little, like, ass pulls, where it's like, I mean, last season it was the, take a bad situation and turn it upside down. And now it's, well, technically, if I use the crystal for good, then it's a good crystal.
Yes and no.
Which, like, it was the only way for them to get out of the situation, and I know that morally he has to justify it to himself, but it was kind of sad to see Alphonse be yet again the one that has to make the logical leap and be put in a situation that is so difficult to get out of that they had to write in something that I don't think would have happened.
Yeah, and, like, there's kind of, like, an interesting, like, philosophical, like, idea in there. Like, you know, if you, like, think of this weapon as, like, a thing created from the suffering and the death of others, then, like, you know, there is an argument to be made that either you're allowed to use it for good, or, like, this thing was created in evil and, like, you can't use it at all. And, like, they kind of bring up that idea, but then, like, don't do a lot with it, which kind of sucks.
Right. The thing is, for me, it seems really hardline telegraphed that Alphonse and Edward specifically are on the side of this is a bad thing and therefore any use of it or any further acknowledgement of it is bad. So having the immediate heel turn within one dialogue between Alphonse and the Chimera,
yeah,
just feels weird to me for Alphonse to go from the former position of these things are bad, they were created with a terrible purpose and through terrible means, and therefore any further use of them is bad. Going from that immediately within like 3 sentences to, I guess I can use this morally justifiably if I acknowledge their suffering and then use the thing that has already been created, but reapply the energies in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that's one of the weaknesses I think of this show. Like if there's a strength to this show that like is undeniable is that like there's a fantastic cast of characters that all feel like really distinct from one another and like that helps you push you along through like this plot that's a little rote but like, you know, it's not bad, but like its weakness certainly is that like it always has like these interesting ideas in its mind, but like it never spends like what feels like a sufficient amount of time exploring any of those ideas.
Yeah, it does. I don't know if it does what we do or we do what it does. Where like we bring up concepts and then do not fully explore them, but at least we acknowledge it. But yeah, so while that's going on, you've also got May in the sewer tunnels fighting Envy. You've got Pride, who fucks off to kind of do his own thing. You've got Wrath, who shows back up. King Fury Bradley.
Yeah. And then he later spars off with Greed. So.
Yeah. Him and Greed get into it, and that's a really fucking fun fight. It lasts like 3 episodes, but it's a really fun fight.
Yeah, there's like one shot in there that like I think is probably one of the best shots I've ever seen, like ever. Like I don't remember what the shot specifically was. Like in that fight, there was like one cool shot that like I didn't write down like what it was for some reason, but like I literally wrote down like most badass shot in history. Like I need to find the shot. It is a very good fight. Like
it is a very good fight.
Damn. Anyway, I'll find it later.
But basically, you've got those 3 overarching plots going on at the same time. And the one that progresses the most intentionally first is May in the sewers with Envy. Because somehow Mustang and Hawkeye show up and square off against Envy as well. And it turns into a whole fucking situation. They do the fun, quirky thing where the person who has the power to shapeshift into other people shapeshifts into somebody, but it's hidden from the audience who it is, and they do the whole like tell me a thing that only the real person would know. But there's like a good 2 minutes where you're like, holy shit, is it Hawkeye? Is Hawkeye about to shoot Mustang? Is it Mustang? Is Mustang about to fucking burn Hawkeye to death? Who's Envy right now?
Yeah.
And it's got that has a really satisfying resolution where Envy says something to the effect of, yo, Hawkeye, what the fuck is up? And Hawkeye goes, you're not the real Mustang. Mustang only calls me by my first name when we're completely alone. And then she shoots him because Envy goes like, what?
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, no, that was complete bullshit. I lied, but thanks for falling for it anyways, sucker.
And that leads into like what is like the most satisfying like vengeance arc I've ever seen, I think. The way that Mustang and Hawkeye and Envy kind of like all got like met up together was like they ran into May and Envy, like while Envy was chasing May. They have like some weird conversation where they're talking about like talking about some shit, and then motherfucker, I can't talk. Fuck.
Have you ever seen the King's Speech?
I've heard of it, but it's from the director of Cats, so I haven't seen it yet.
Well, unlike Cats, the King's Speech is very good, and I think you might be able to learn a lesson or two from it. That was kind of mean. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I don't care.
Basically, it's got not Colin Firth.
Yeah,
Colin Firth is the guy from In Bruges. Is it Colin Firth?
I think it's Colin Firth because you're thinking of Colin Farrell. Colin
Farrell is in Bruges.
Yeah.
Have you seen In Bruges?
I've seen part of In Bruges. I think I've seen the end of In Bruges because my dad was watching it and I kind of watched it. It was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
It's such a
Wish
good
I saw
movie.
the first half, but
the first half of that movie, everything leading up to like the last 30 minutes is it's nearly a perfect film, and then the last 30 minutes is like cheesy, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that movie. But everybody's showing off in the fucking sewers. Scar shows up, Edward shows up, and you've got Mustang losing his fucking brains, trying to kill Envy because he's finally got the motherfucker what done in his best friend.
Yeah.
And
well, like
he
finally like admits it to him, and then he's like, "Motherfucker, it was you." Like, you know, you're done. And like, it's nice to see like that thing finally pay off, because like it feels like it was dropped off to the side for a little bit, but then you know, now like that's back, and it's nice to have like a callback to the first season in the last season. I like when they do that. Hopefully they do it a little more, but
right. We don't have a whole lot of time left for it to happen. We've got 4 episodes.
Yeah, and like we'll get to like thoughts and ideas about how that'll happen. But anyway, Mustang like completely tanks this man. Like
absolutely decimates, just fucks him up.
I swear it's like 20 straight minutes of him just destroying this man. Like it probably isn't that long. It's probably more like 5 minutes, but still, like it feels ridiculously long, but also
it's
incredibly satisfying the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it caps off with Hawkeye saying, "Mustang, knock this shit off. Like, you're losing your goddamn mind."
Mm-hmm.
And like everybody's there. Everybody's telling Mustang he needs to chill the fuck out and step the fuck down, because he is like going mad with power. Basically, he's gotten exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
Even though what he wants is not what he needs. And he's got this line. I think I wrote it. Yeah. He says, "Reprimanded by a child, lectured by a man I considered my enemy, and you, I've gone and hurt you again. How foolish can one man be?"
Yeah.
Directed at Hawkeye, and Josh, I cried.
Yeah, that was the one
Josh,
that almost
I did
got
cry.
me. That was the one that almost got me. He ends up not killing Envy, and then Envy like has a literal fucking fit, like because like I guess like okay, so
he cannot comprehend the human's ability to forgive. Well, we see this a lot in like these few episodes where we completely forgot that the Armstrong siblings were fighting Sloth.
Yeah, well, we can get to that.
But that happened. Not much comes from that. They just fight Sloth and kill him, and it's a cool fight.
Well, there's a little bit to that. We can get to that later. But back to the Envy thing. So like, there's a little more to it than just like he can't comprehend it. It's that Edward makes like this really interesting point that like he himself is envious, if you will, of
that is what
humanity.
He envies most.
Yeah,
right. That is his envy.
Yeah, and so like that's what sets him loose, and like he basically like rips out his own heart and dies there.
His envy is what makes him powerful, but his envy is also his largest weakness.
Yeah.
And this happens for most of the remaining homunculi. Sloth, not so much.
Yeah.
It turns out Sloth is Sonic the fucking Hedgehog, but dude, the Sloth fight is fucking weird.
Yeah.
But with the deadly sins, the concepts of the deadly sins of humanity that actually have something to do with someone's personality.
Yeah.
This is what I've always not understood about the deadly sins. You've got things like pride and greed and envy, which can genuinely lead to the downfall of a person. But then you've got gluttony. Motherfucker just eats too much. Or like lust. Like, bitch is horny sometimes.
Yeah, like I guess that's just kind of like one of the pitfalls of like, basing your villain's mythology off of like Christian like imagery and stuff like that. You run into some problems where some things just like don't add up.
Right. And so those characters die like fairly early on. Like Lust is like a big glory kill early on in the series
Yeah.
where Mustang just shows off his powers and fucking they kill Gluttony like 3 times. He's just like he's nothing. And Sloth really they don't make like a huge point about like well
Sloth is really
being
important.
slothful.
Yeah.
Huh?
Like Sloth isn't important to the story, and they don't develop him much.
Right. The only thing that Sloth is important to the story for is he big strong and he dig tunnel.
Yeah.
But then you've got Pride, who not yet, but we've seen it teased at, who will fall to his own. Basically, it comes down to hubris. These major last 4 of envy, pride, greed, and wrath. It's hubris. It's distilled hubris. Wrath is not bested, but he gets his ass kicked because he's so angry that humans can continue to fight and can continue to find motivation under circumstances that most other things would deem impossible. Pride cannot see himself being beaten by humans, and so he underestimates their ability to outthink him and outplay him because he's so incredibly powerful. He doesn't think that he has any weaknesses, which leads him to be cocky. And you have Envy, who is in the end so jealous of human beings' ability to create connections with one another beyond any reasonable assumption that they should be able to do so, that his inability to form those connections himself leads him to kill himself.
Yeah. That puts Greed in a really interesting spot because, like, he's the only one who seems to be, like, actually kind of recognizing...
Developing, like, coming through a character arc.
Yeah, like, he's recognizing, like, parts of himself that, like, are both elemental and also maybe not what he wants for himself, and, like, learning to, like, kind of at least coexist with, like, humanity and see their strengths and their weaknesses and, like, working with them for his gain instead of just, like,
you do say that.
Yeah.
You say that, but at the end of the day, it is just a long con because
I guess so.
As soon as he gets a chance, he dives in on Father when he thinks that Father is showing an opening for him to take power, and he just gets curb stomped, and I think he's dead.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. A lot happens.
No, he dives in. He's like, finally, my chance. I can take power for myself. And then...
Yeah, I gotcha. Oof. There's something I wanted to talk about with, like... Oh, yeah, the envy thing. So, like, I kind of have one kind of issue with that. Let me, like, run you through, like, the way that I think about this. So, the problem I have is that, there's a little bit of a thematic contradiction between, like, what we are told that like Mustang should prioritize in this situation versus like what the what the show actually like gives the audience in return for following through with this arc. So like basically like the Mustang is told that like he can't let this vengeance like control him and like turn him into a monster, and you know, and that manifests in him like not having the not the willpower necessarily, but like resisting the urge to kill Envy, but then Envy just kills himself. So like it kind of like shorthands that or like shortchanges that, you know, like where we get the catharsis of the character dying, but Mustang is also like not allowed to have the catharsis of doing it himself. So like it's
I think you're so fucking close on this one because I think they did that on purpose. I feel like they had that happen to build this up and then to let you down. exactly like Mustang feels.
Hmm.
He gets this big buildup and this big emotional character arc, and he fucking he resists it, and he becomes a better person, just to have his actions invalidated by the person that he was pursuing this whole time. He still didn't have the upper hand in the end. He did. He had full control of the situation, but in the end, he still didn't get what he wanted. He became a better person, but he changed. He became a better person and he developed, but he didn't get what he was seeking.
I mean,
exactly how he was seeking it.
I guess, but like,
I think it is supposed to feel somewhat empty and somewhat unsatisfying. And you can by all means you can disagree with me. I may be giving this event too much credit.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think it through. You know, like just because like I feel like it's a little bit like it feels like double-handed in a way. Where like I just feel like it's a little double-handed the way like where like Mustang doesn't get to exact his revenge, but yet in the end, like he's still like the thing that he wanted still ends up happening anyway, if not by his own hand, you know? So like it feels like a little bit of a retraction of like, Envy isn't allowed to die by his hand, but he's allowed to die for what he did anyway, you know? Like it feels like it's kind of like taking away like that
No, I totally see what you're saying. I see what you mean. That Envy still receives punishment, but at the same time, it's almost also character growth for Envy, that he sees and understands that he is incomplete, and instead of growing, he does decide that the course of action is to kill himself. But I don't know. I totally see what you mean. That like as an audience member, we do get to see the bad guy die, but we don't get to see the person who developed and went through their arc succeed in their goal as intended.
I'm not necessarily saying that like the correct way to do it would be to have Mustang get to exact his revenge. I don't know exactly what I'm saying.
I see that you mean like have Envy not die, or have Envy form some sort of a genuine character development, kind of in the way that we saw happen with Greed a little bit, or something like that along those lines. I didn't think that you just wanted Mustang to just kill him, but no, I definitely see what you mean.
Okay, I can kind of see it from both sides. You know, I don't have a completely like encapsulated opinion on it because I think it's both at the same time. I feel like it's, it does say something interesting in that, but it also kind of like, it does like backhand, or not backhand, but like double, it plays a bit of a double standard in that way, I think.
Right. It can have its cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the correct way to say that phrase, but you can ponder all of these things that we've put on the table and more during this fine ad break.
Fullmetal Alchemist. Fullmetal Alchemist.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
Just blew up my microphone, Hope that's fun for all the people listening.
Nothing, absolutely nothing happened during the ad break. There is not a post-credits scene. Don't stick around after the fucking end music. You won't get any special secrets.
All right, so there was something interesting that I kind of found in these episodes. Like, it's kind of like an accumulation of like things that have been kind of coming before. It's like a really simple thing, but like it's something I kind of noticed. So like basically like when I thought about it in retrospect, a lot of times like in this show where shit has gone like really wrong, it's whenever people split up, you know, like whenever like certain groups of people like decide they're going to like go off on their own and do their own thing, or like whenever a couple bad guys show up and they like try to split the work, you know, that's when things go like the worst. But in this season there's like a really big emphasis on like people showing up to help other people, like almost always like just before they die, you know, like
Right, right. Like in the Wrath fight.
yeah, like in that, and like with Sloth and
the
the
Sloth
Armstrongs, you know. So it's obviously just like a really like simple like theme about like, you know, working with the team and, you know, like helping others and like vague stuff like that.
Right. Like it's not necessarily like an explicit theme within the show, but it is like a recurring thing that has happened, and now it is kind of like it's been twisted on its head a little bit.
Yeah, and it's being integrated into like the plot in a way where it feels like it's not like the like a mind blower thing, but like it's at least integrated enough that it feels really satisfying to like have these
Right.
have like these odd couple pairings who like you see them show up together and you're like, oh my god, now things are going really well, you know. I thought it was fun when Izumi and what's his face showed up with the Armstrongs, because like that felt like a really good pairing
yeah.
that like I was surprised hadn't happened earlier, but you know, if that feels like the kind of shit that like we really need, is like that kind
Yeah,
of
when fucking Sig and
Sig.
Alex have the little flex off.
yeah. I think I literally wrote down like these are the ideal men. Like
This is the peak of humanity.
all right, well
The Alpha and Sigma. Anyways, we do have. While we're talking about Izumi, and I know that this isn't like. I kind of want to get into like the meat and potatoes, unless there was something that you were building towards there, and I cut you off, and I'm terribly sorry.
not really. Go ahead.
The sacrifices.
Oh, yes.
We in like the last 10 minutes of this fucking episode, before the bitchest ass cliffhanger that I've ever seen in my fucking life, we get a lot of really subtle information dropping. There is a scene or several scenes, it's like a couple of episodes, where you've got a group that consists of Mustang and Hawkeye and Scar and Edward fighting against the rejected Wrath babies that are like being controlled by the Gold Tooth Man.
Yeah, all of the orphans that were being considered to be part of like the homunculi training program or whatever, you know, that thing. So anyway, like they're all fighting that, but then like Pride shows up and he and the golden tooth scientist dude basically get them all like down to Pride. Like they get Ed, Al, Izumi, May goes on her own, but she does end up there.
Ed, Al, and Izumi get teleported into like
Yeah.
the heart of the whole fucking thing. And he already has Hohenheim, who is the fourth sacrifice.
And then the fifth one, they decide it's Mustang, so they literally like slit Hawkeye's throat, and they're like, well, if you want to save her, you've got to like do a transmutation, and like he's like, nah, fam, I'm not gonna do that. And then they're like, well, fine, fuck it, we'll make you do a transmutation.
We'll make you do it.
Yeah.
Which, like, I do want to know. I was asking myself this whole fucking time, what is the Gold Tooth Man's fucking motivation for doing any of this in the first place? Like, is he working directly for Father? And like, I have to assume so, but like, what is the connection there?
I imagine that it's kind of like that, like at least a little bit kind of like that other guy who was like, who Izumi and Olivier were like interrogating in that other scene, where like, he was like working with the program under the belief that he would be like one of the chosen ones who would.
Oh, right. He would be one of the guys that got to stand in the center of the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That never works out.
That certainly doesn't work out. He gets turned into a fucking meatball. But yeah, so Mustang gets
Forcefully
sacrifice
yeah.
chosen.
And
They like pin him down and force him to do human transmutation. At which point he is pinned as a sacrifice.
and loses his eyesight.
And I do want.
You know,
He does lose his eyesight in exchange for having committed human transmutation,
which is rough.
which is rough. This is the first like actual confirmation in the English dub of this show that we've gotten. They've hinted at it, and I don't know why they've been so like dancing around it, but they have not explicitly, but like more definitively motioned towards the concept that Izumi lost parts of her ovaries or just generally her reproductive organs. Because forever they've just said insides.
Yeah.
But they are now making like direct correlations. Like your actions are directly and your intentions and your avarice are directly correlated to the thing that you are forced to give up. In seeking this unforgivable action.
Yeah, but that
And so
that kind of makes me think, like, what does that have to do with like Ed's arm, Like when he did the transmutation, he lost his arm and like didn't he lose a leg too?
yes. So Alphonse lost his whole body, and Edward traded his arm and his leg for Alphonse's soul. That is kind of like an extreme case, I believe, because like, I think what Edward lost was his brother. They were seeking family connection, right?
Yeah.
They were seeking their family back. So I believe what happened was
He lost
Edward
that.
lost his brother. Or you could even say that Alphonse lost his body. It could also be like a matter of inexperience where they were like very new to alchemy and they were very talented but still very new to alchemy, and so they fucked this up harder than other people who have tried this fucked it up, and so they got punished harder.
Yeah.
That could be the case. It could just be like, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Alphonse lost his whole body, and in exchange, Edward traded his arm and his leg to get his brother back, his brother's soul back anyways.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
But yeah.
So, anyway, back to like the mother of all cliffhangers. All 5 sacrifices are there. Like Homunculus uses them to genocide the entirety of Amestris. He's like now like a big giant god thing, and that's where we leave off.
Yeah, that's the end. We get like a hint that all these people are the sacrifices because they committed human transmutation, and then the fucking eclipse happens, and Father does what he was trying to do, and everyone fucking dies. He has this little mini monologue that's like, actually, did you ever think that the planet was an organism itself? Actually, it's like a nervous system, and if you tap into the energy of this nervous system, you can do cool shit. And that's literally all he says, and then he like turns into like the colossal titan, and then like opens the door to the truth eye that's just floating in the sky, and then the fucking doors kiss.
Yeah.
and then there's an explosion and it ends. It's just over.
Yeah.
4 more episodes. Come back next time.
So it's really unusual for like any story to like have a moment that's this low. Like, like
Right, like explicitly the bad guys have won and there is absolutely no recovering from this. Like this is worse than JoJo's Part 5.
I don't know. I don't understand.
Genuinely,
the reference, but I laugh.
like the only possible way for them to get out of this is for fucking piano music to happen.
It's really like unusual for anything to like, because like there's always like, in the like the 3-act structure where like, like you have the setup and then you have like the build up and the plot and then like the like the climax and the payoff and all that. Like before the climax, there's always like a low point where like, the characters like lose most of, if not all of the progress they've made, but like there's still like some hope for them to like, figure things out and achieve the goal or whatever. But like this is explicitly like everyone in this country is dead.
Everyone's fucking dead.
Like
I mean, like, there's nothing that we can say about this that we haven't, like, just now. The feelings that you have listening to us say this is exactly how it feels to watch it. If you've watched it, you know what we're talking about. It's like a snap of the fingers. It just fucking happens, and there's no intervention, and the episode just ends. Come back next week.
Yeah, like, I guess, like, the only hope they have is that, like, somebody who wasn't in a mistress is gonna save them, but, like,
Or, like, something happens with the truth, and, like, father is rejected or something.
Yeah, like, who knows?
I genuinely, I know I've said this, I do not remember anything that happens in the last 4 episodes. The only vague recollection that I had up until this point was that that there is a good ending in the end.
Yeah.
And that father does genocide a mistress. Those are the 2 things that I remembered about the end of this show, and I don't know how we get from one to the other.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to see this as anybody else is.
Yeah, like I don't really have any theories like where we go from here, which is kind of an exciting thing, but it's also like a really like it's bad for podcasting because I can't theorize. Like we're literally just at a point where like all cards are off the table. We have no idea what will happen next.
Right, the deck has been picked up. It's being shuffled and put back on the box.
Yeah. So it's a great place to leave off. Like, I actually really love this cliffhanger because it's just so bold. Like, especially for, like, a show intended for, like, not children specifically, but, like, teenagers, like, young people, It's weird that it goes to, like, such a low,
Right. I think it is rated, like, I don't know what the fucking rating system for anime is. Hold on. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Not IMDb. What? It's not the ESRB. What is the fucking like?
I don't know.
TV rating. No,
Ratings.
not 9 out of 10.
Anime.
It's not like M. Is it R?
I don't know if television is rated in Japan. So let's see. Japan television rating board or something. The ARIN, Japan's movie regulator. Oh, that's a movie regulator. That's not helpful.
Age rating. 13.
13.
The original Fullmetal Alchemist manga is rated T for ages 13 plus.
Wait, is that the 2003 anime or the one we're watching?
The manga.
Oh, okay.
Like the original source material, which is what Brotherhood is more directly correlated to.
Okay. So like this is intended for 13-year-olds. So like,
Right. This is like actually for teenagers.
yeah, so like I believe they're mature enough to like handle this and not like literally cry themselves to sleep at night, but it is like it's the kind of thing that would be incredibly shocking to watch as a teenager. Just like all these characters you've like spent this whole time on the show with like getting fucking annihilated, you know.
Right. I just like it's so weird to think that. I mean, like, there are things that I struggle with seeing in this show. I genuinely don't know. I guess, like, the action scenes is what I was watching it for when I was younger. I was like, ooh, fireball. But, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. I mean, I guess there's not a whole lot else we can say. That's this chunk of episodes of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yep. Like the end of this, we're just gonna like peter off in like a really disappointing way. But we're gonna tell you that there's a hell of a lot in store for the next episode. But
oh yeah, I mean there are 4 episodes left, and somehow things happen.
Yeah. So
to come back and see how those things happen. Because I sure know I am. Anyways, I've been Brogan.
I have been, still am, and continue to be Josh.
You can follow the podcast on all social media platforms. If you just look up How-to Otaku, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
At How-to Otaku Pod. That's our handle.
Yep. You can email us at howtootakupod@gmail.com. You can find me at Brogan Live. If you like Brogan, you'll love Brogan Live. That's mainly just on Twitter and on Twitch. I stream sometimes. Josh, take it away.
If you want to follow me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at JD Thorn Film. I don't post a lot on Facebook or Instagram. It's mostly my Twitter, but, you know, occasionally, you know. And then, if you care about what I think about movies, you can follow me on Letterboxd at JD Thorn, you know. And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can click the link in the description. I think it's going to be something like patreon.com/howtootaku, you know, something like that. But, you know, if you want to support us, you can support us there. And, yeah, I think that's all we've got.
Yeah, I think so. Anyways, see you, Space Cowboy.
Love you.
Love you.
What?
What's up?
Okay, so apparently, like, some weird glitch happened at HBO Max where, like, people were trying to watch the new Tom and Jerry, but instead it played the Snyder cut of Justice League.
What?
Yeah, apparently they accidentally uploaded it, like, you know, and like I presume it's down now because, like, you know, by the time anybody hears about this, Warner Brothers took it down. But, you know, but like
there are people who have seen the full Snyder cut now.
At least part of it. I don't know if anybody's seen all of it.
Am I gonna have to watch that shit fucking movie again?
I'm gonna watch it because, like, I hate Stan, Zack Snyder. Like, I find him so interesting, but yet so bad, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like how he turned The Watchmen from a critique on power structures and like, you know, an actual, like, deep, thoughtful piece into just like edgy sex cool,
yeah, sex
edgy
cool.
fight, edgy kill fuck.
Oh my god, I rewatched Watchmen like last night or the night before, and like,
I enjoy that movie, but it is such a different thing from the source material. Having Rorschach be any form of sympathetic is beyond baffling to me. That is a fucking decision that somebody could have made after having read those comics.
I mean,
I genuinely can't fathom that someone who, like, got the rights to make a film based on that property made Rorschach a sympathetic, like, undebatable good guy.
The thing is that, like, I don't think that what's wrong with it is the screenplay, because the screenplay is like almost a one-to-one like recreation of the novel.
It's the tone.
Yeah,
it's the way things are treated.
It's the tone. It's the, like, you know, the way things are shot, the way, like, characters act specifically. You know, like the action scenes that were probably added in by Snyder or by, like, some studio exec who was like, it needs more action.
Right. It's not necessarily the script. It's the way things are portrayed. I know that we're still mid ad break, but if you'd like to, like, cut this out, whoever's editing this, like, throw it in at the very end as kind of like a little bonus secret for people. That'd be fun. But yeah, fuck Zack Snyder and fuck Zack Snyder's stupid brain and the neck it wrote in on. I swear to God.
I've actually like I've been thinking about it, and like I want to start like a Zack Snyder mini podcast where like I go through like all of his movies one by one with somebody, and like preferably somebody who like likes them and wants to defend them, because then we get good content that
couldn't be
way. But what'd you say?
I said couldn't be me.
Couldn't be you. I bet Clayton likes Zack Snyder's movies.
Oh God, Clayton probably does like Zack Snyder.